Man in the middle, Deon Thomas. And as always, I bring you nothing but the best. And today is no exception. But before that, I got to thank my partners, Bet River Sportsbook. Without those guys, Champaign on ice is not possible. I got to send some love out to Signature Bank for making this podcast possible. Thank you guys. And we're going to get rolling right now. Is one of the starting, in my opinion, and I say this all the time, I don't believe he gets the amount of respect that he should. He's one of the best point guards to ever put on the orange and blue, one of the best two-way players to ever put on the orange and blue, a great leader of young men today, which we will get back to. But I welcome my man, Tony Wysinger. TY, what's up with you, baby?
My man, D, I appreciate you, man. Thanks for having me on your show.
Hey, man, guys, I tell them I don't bring nothing but the best, and you know the best. So it'd be dumb of me not to have you on the show. So,
cool,
hey,
no doubt.
But Illini Nation, again, I'm gonna reintroduce him, bring him back to you again. Some of you may have lost contact with Tony Wysinger. I didn't, because he kicked my butt quite a few times when we were coaching against one another. But that's another story. TY, how you been, man? How's it going?
Hanging in there, dude. Hanging in there, trying to do what we can with our basketball team, and as you already mentioned, working with young men, trying to help change lives.
Well, you have certainly done that. I remember my first year when I got to Lewis and Clark, and you and I had an opportunity to talk about coaching, what it takes, what is the need, and then we had another conversation when I was going to bring a whole slew of guys down from Chicago, and you kind of warned me against that. And I thought I knew everything. Illini Nation, this is when you get humbled, when you realize you don't know everything. So TY,
I remember that conversation. I remember, D, you sure you want to do that? And you was like, oh, I'm good, T, I'm good. And I think it was about halfway through the season we talked again, and you was like, man, I wish I wouldn't have done it like that. So yeah, it's sometimes it becomes humbling. Believe me, I know.
Oh yeah, it becomes. You listen and learn, young people. When those before you tell you something, you better make sure you listen. I didn't, and I got my butt spanked. But man, in high school, heck of a player, bro. You know, and I can't even mention how you as a leader, in your game, in your life, you were doing those same things at the high school level. So of course everyone needs a point guard. How'd you end up in the orange and blue though?
Interesting enough, I was a point guard my sophomore and a little bit into my junior year, but we had a starting point guard on our team named Steve Harvey, who started as a freshman and stayed on the varsity squad all the way up to his senior year. So one of the things I looked at, and just looking into the future, well, if he's the starting point guard, I'm really need to work on my shooting ability as well as being a point guard. So that summer after my sophomore year, really put time into putting the ball up, getting shots up, and already having some point guard skills was evident, but shooting was something I needed to really, really work on. So I did that. And so my junior year came off the bench. Senior year started, but I started as a two guard, who in a sense was a combo guard. And what I remember, Coach Henson and Coach Nagy, who were the main guys recruit me, they let Coach Bishop know they just liked the fact that I could shoot, along with the ability to run the ball club. And the interesting thing was I kept telling myself, running the ball team is not something I've done since my sophomore year. And that was something that I made a point of emphasis, that if I'm going to play, I got to be able to do this and do it well. And so I never took any shorts from anybody. I always put 110% into it, because I never thought I was the best one. And I've always told all of my student athletes, if you ever go into something thinking you are the best, then you're never going to get better. And so that's just my philosophy. Never thinking I was better than anyone else, meaning I had to put that much more effort to try and beat anybody that was in front of me.
Oh, and I think you're handing out the right lesson. One, go into things humble and understanding that you can always get better, and there's no shortcoming for not going in and trying to get better. And speaking of getting better, when you stepped on the court at Illinois, man, you had some heck of a guards there in front of you and alongside of you.
Definitely. With Bruce Douglas, who was the main guy that recruited me. And I remember him telling me, hey, I'm pretty positive Derek Harper's leaving. And I'm sitting there looking at, we were at Memorial Stadium on my recruiting visit. And he was talking to me about Harper's probably going to be leaving. Quinn Richardson was coming back. And honestly, Bruce and the others, they weren't sure what Quinn was going to bring because he didn't really get a lot of playing time, and he had redshirted. And that year, my freshman year, Quinn was one of the best guards, in my opinion, in the Big Ten. Didn't do anything outlandish, but when it was his turn to make shots, he did it. He ran the ball club along with Bruce. So I got to learn from Bruce, from Quinn, and then was able to take that. And again, that was my freshman, sophomore, and into my junior year, learning from Bruce Douglas, who I believe I know you would say is one of the greats that ever played the game at Illinois. So you learn from those that are in front of you, and then you take that and try to move forward the best you can.
Yeah, and that's why I try to tell young people when I talk to them, life isn't created on your own. We all stand on the shoulders of giants. We all take lessons from those that came before us. Now, I wish I had listened to myself way back then when you were telling me not to bring down all those Chicago kids. But
you have to think about what if we can get into it, because I don't want to come off as a negative connotation. It was you had said, hey, I got, I think, a bunch of kids from Southside, North, all over from Chicago, and I just said, D, if you bring everybody in, you may end up having certain cliques that'll start wanting to just be with this side and not work together. And I said, I just don't know if that's going to be the best thing for you. Not saying you didn't do it or couldn't do it, but just as a new program, I just didn't know. And so if you don't mind, you can tell them what ended up kind of happening with that group.
Oh, I will. And you were 100% right. And I mean, and my response to you when you first said that to me is, hey, I'm a Chicago product myself. I was like, I'm sure I can deal with these guys. But you were 100% right, because some of the kids were from the west side, some of the kids were from the south side. I lived on both sides of town, so this is why I thought I would be able to walk that fence and really get guys to buy into what the message was. And you're right, it did not work right. It didn't work well at all. I mean, a couple of the kids that had to kick off the team because they decided they wanted to come down and become drug dealers in Godfrey, Illinois, and game bangers instead of being basketball players.
Exactly.
And literally the two kids that I thought were going to be the troublemakers turned out to be the two best kids that I had. Those are the ones that bought into the, okay, well, coach is trying to teach us something or trying to teach me something. Let me listen to him and do what it is I'm supposed to do.
And giving them that opportunity, And the only reason I said that is because that happened to me. I wouldn't have said it if it hadn't happened to me. And I was like, I think one year we had over seven or eight guys from the Chicago area, and it just did not mesh for what we were trying to do. Not to say it couldn't have worked in other places. It just didn't work for me. And so I was just giving you forewarning. Hey, I don't know if that's the best thing to do. And, in retrospect, it has worked for some others. I'm not going to say it hasn't, but I knew you, and being in a new situation, I just didn't know if that was going to be the best thing for you. So again, it's interesting because of my experience. I was just trying to give you a little bit of help, regardless if we were going to play each other. Matter of fact, I believe that first game we played, you beat us like 106 to 102 or so. I know you beat us by about 10 or 12 points. And it looked good. I mean, you had a bunch of athletes out there. They were playing well. And I remember that phone call about halfway through the season, as we always check up on each other. Hey, how you doing? And I'm like, man, you told me, and you wouldn't believe what's going on right now. And it was just a great conversation.
Let me tell you guys a little bit about our partners over at Bet Rivers Sportsbook. If you haven't signed up yet with Bet Rivers, Now's the time. BetRivers Sportsbook is offering a $250 match bonus for your first deposit. But what sets them apart is that they require just one playthrough to turn your bonus into cash money. When you win at BetRivers Sportsbook, they pay fast. And now, it's even faster. With RushPay, instant approval for withdrawals. It's safe, it's secure, it's reliable. With March Madness right around the corner, there's never been a better time to give BetRivers Sportsbook a try. Go to betrivers.com today or download BetRivers iOS app. Must be 21 years or older. If you have a gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER. It was guys that didn't realize how to deal with success, who couldn't cheer for their own teammates' success, and got greedy, got envious, and wanted their own. And that says a lot about you, my friend. And the reason I'm turning this back to Illinois, you walked on to a campus with Quinn and, of course, Bruce, as you mentioned. I think Bruce is one of the best point guards, not just at Illinois, in this state. Period. What he did on a high school level, still being the all-time leader in steals and assists at Illinois, and he left there in '85. That says a ton about what he did. But you were coming out of high school with your own name, your own rep. You stepped on that and as I said, you're one of the best ever. But what was it in you that was like, okay, you know what? Let me sit back and let me learn from these guys and take for them so I can, carry this on into my own successes.
Experiences, things that brought me to that point. And I know whenever we would go to a pickup game, no matter where, going to be one of the first one or two people, three or four people picked to be on whatever team. And I remember my first day at Impey. First day, got to school and went over to Impey. And again, as a senior, anytime I go to any gym in the Peoria area, I'm first guy picked. I go over to Impey, and that ego was messing with me. So I'm not asking anybody, hey, can I run with you? I'm waiting on someone to pick me. Deon, 2 hours went by. Not one soul picked me. And I remember saying to myself, wow, this is big time. And okay, I'm going to have to ask somebody to let me play with them. But I was 5'10", 145, 50 pounds. I wasn't 6'10", 6'9", 6'8". So I just was kind of looked as a regular person. No one knew me at that point in time. And literally Anthony Welch, who also was one of the guys that was ICE, took me on my visit as well. He walked in the gym and said, hey, T.Y., what's up? You run yet? And I'm sitting there, no, I just got here. And so he was like, okay, yeah, look, I'm going to get you with one of my guys. And so this gentleman, I forgot his name, but he said, all right, I'll pick him up. He said, but if my partner show up, he going to have to sit. And I'm sitting there like, no, I'm not sitting. I don't care who show up. You got me on your team, we playing. And we played, and I didn't play very well the first part of the game. And we're down like 10 to whatever, all the games went to 11. And we figured out a way, got back into the game and started playing a lot better, started making some plays, and ended up, we won. And George Montgomery, Big G, comes over to me. This is all true story. Big G comes over to me and says, look, little fella, I don't never tell anybody that they should come over and walk on, but we need somebody like you. And I'm sitting here like, walk on where? What are you talking about? He says, walk on to the team. You can play, fella. I'm going to let Coach Nagy and Coach Collins them know we got somebody, a steal. And I said, Big G, I'm already on the team. And he looked at me and said, what's your name? And so when I told him my name, Wysinger, of course, doesn't come off as anything black. And so he was like, man, I thought we had signed a little white kid out of Peoria. I didn't know who you. He said, we about to have some fun. I said, well, you know what? I plan on having some fun. And that gave me the confidence that, one, I could do it. Even though it was empty, you still wonder, can I play with these guys? And that was every day then. Every day I was at Impey before the season started, putting in the work, watching, taking my lumps. I remember Eddie Johnson was working out before he would go back to the NBA. And I'm in awe in some cases when we're doing open gym and when you got Eddie and Snake and all these other guys that can play. And I'm right in the mix with them running point. I'm running point for a team that's got Eddie Johnson on it coming off the wing. Yeah, I'm working on my point guard skills because that guy can put the ball in the basket. And I'm trying to make sure, and believe me, I had them days where I just couldn't get the ball to him in the right spots. And he gives you that look. You know, come on, he called me young freshman. Come on, young freshman, get it to me in the right spot. And so those types of things, and then getting your butt beat by the Altenberger and Quinn and Doug, that'll humble you to want to be better. And, you know, I wanted to make sure before Eddie left that summer that he could depend on me getting him that ball in the right spots. So all of those culminated into me, again, being humble, but also wanting to be the best I could be.
You know, I love that story because, like you, that's kind of the way I grew up, with my bigger brother kicking my butt. And then, of course, you know, all the older players, whether it was Irving Small or Nick Anderson and all of them kicking my butt. And you know, I look at today's basketball with all of the AAU. You know, you got 15U, 16U, 17U. So you don't have guys that are, one, playing outside or playing much pickup, but they're not playing against those bigger, older guys to really kick their butt.
That's true.
And I always thought it kind of affected the game a little bit. And I know we're stepping away from college right now, but how have you seen that as a coach? I mean, you've been in this business for years and years. How have you seen that piece come to life?
The game has changed, and I'll say it's changed because the fundamental skill set is not there. Kids are used to the ESPN era. If you watch ESPN, what do you always see? Highlights of threes, spectacular plays, or dunks. Yep. That's not basketball. That's not all of basketball. Basketball is the simple piece of setting a pick for somebody. It's just that simple play. You would think, you know, kids should know those things. And reading a pick or just reading a defense, a lot of that is gone because it's more just up and down at the AAU circuit. There's not a lot of, and I won't say there aren't people who are teaching, but there's not a lot of teaching going on in the sense of those basic concepts. I have seen it as far as the basics on a steady decline, I would say literally over the last 7 to 10 years, because you just don't have, you know, you'll have a team practice in the summer, and literally I've had kids that I've recruited and they've told me, well, all we did was play pickup. And I said, so you did no individual skills, trying to work on your individual skills, even if it's just shooting, you know, putting up 250 to 500 shots a day, any of that. No, all we do just he throw the ball out and we get up and down 5-on-5. And that can work for some. It don't work for me. And as I tell all of my recruits and students, that the student athletes that come to me, it's my job to get you prepared to go to a 4-year school. So when you go, they're going to say, oh, that kid's from ICC. I already know he understands these basic, you know, pack line defense, help side defense, contesting shots, boxing. He knows all of that. So I know I got a good one. And that is what I look at as my responsibility. But again, when they come here, there are a lot that don't have the basic skill set. And I've seen that decline over the last 7 to 10 years.
Yeah, I'd have to agree with you. And that was one of the things I would always comment that the AAU circuit and ESPN were the best and the worst thing that ever happened to developmental basketball here in the United States. Because we don't have the individual workouts or skill workouts. Kids have lost that base or that they need in order to be able to do all those things. Because they show it on ESPN. They show Steph Curry shooting from wherever. They show what Kobe does. They show what LeBron does, but they never show or talk about all of the work that came before that.
Exactly.
So you're looking at the end result of millions of jump shots and ball handling drills and all of these other things. And these kids don't get to see it. But this takes me back to this. You come from a long line of successful players all the way up to today with Adam Miller on the court from Peoria. And everybody in this state talk about Chicago basketball. They talk about East St. Louis basketball. And yes, they talk about Peoria basketball, but I don't believe they talk about Peoria basketball on the level that they should.
Peoria basketball, the roots go back to Dick Van Syre, who was legendary coach at Manual. But if you did your research on it in history, you would see a tree that just forms from where he started, and the coaches that came from that tree all has the same basic pieces of you're going to pick up full court man, you're going to be able to guard. If you cannot guard, you cannot play. That is a huge piece of anybody coming from this area. If you can't pick up full court, we used to do drills, and it hurt me just thinking about the block drill. They put those blocks in between the free throw lines, and for 45 seconds or 30 seconds, you shuffle, picking up a block, setting it down, picking up a block. Those were the things that every guard, every forward coming from this area, if you couldn't do it, you couldn't play. And that was known going in. And that was Manual, Central, Richwoods, Bergen, where Peoria Notre Dame is now. They did the exact same thing. And so that is where the basis started. I'd say that foundation, and anyone who has played, who is now coaching, understands that, and that's what they do. I know that's something I brought when I went to Bradley for a couple of years. I went and got some of those blocks from Coach Bisher. I need to use these. And he was like, what you need them for? I said, well, we up at Bradley, I got to show them. We got to get down and learn how to play a little bit better defense. Defense and rebounding are the concepts, in my belief, that are going to help you and help that foundation for winning. And that's what the Peoria basketball guys all know. DeMonte is going to guard. Adam is learning. Didn't do it when he first started, but he wanted to be on the floor, so he had to learn, okay, if I can't guard, I can't be out here. He's got a great mentor in Trent. Trent, even at his size, I think he just got, I believe, first team all defensive award for Big Ten, but he denies, doesn't let you. Everything that he does makes you uncomfortable. And those guys from Peoria with Frank, Serge, with Altenberger, and I'll put myself in, but I always thought I wasn't the best defender. So Coach Nagy told me, he said, you know what, son, you 5'10", you got to be like a gnat at a picnic. And I said, Coach, is that going to give me more playing time? He said, if you're a gnat at a picnic and everything is bothered while you out there and you can make shots, yeah, you're going to get more playing time. So all you have to tell me. Again, tell me what you want me to do. I'll be out there doing it. And those guys coming from Peoria all had the same mentality. I don't want to let anybody from Peoria down. And small enough community, Peoria, the biggest city, but not one guy went to any school. And if you notice, any school, not just Illinois, a lot of these guys went to different schools like DePaul with David Ruth and the others. Wherever they went, they started, and they did well. And I think it was because they didn't want to let anybody else down.
Illini Nation, listen up. If you're like me, you want a personal relationship with your business banker. That's why, if you don't know our fellow Illini alum, Kevin Bastuga, from the class of '94, you should. Kevin is one of the founders of Chicago-based Signature Bank, a highly successful commercial bank that provides strategic and customized banking services to you and your business. At Signature Bank, you'll have a true partner. Kevin and his team will know you and your business, and they'll do whatever it takes to help you grow your business. Whether you need a line of credit to expand your business or finance new equipment, Signature Bank is here to help you. Signature Bank, helping Illinois business owners succeed, no matter what it takes. So check out Signature Bank, at www.signaturebank.bank today, or call Kevin Bastuga at 773-467-5606. That's Signature Bank at www.signaturebank.bank, or call Kevin Bastuga at 773-467-5606. Right, and that's the point. I mean, I think because Chicago is so big, we turn out so many players. We always get put on, that pedestal. But your roots are basically the same as ours. You picking up full court, ball go through the basket. You're not running down. You're turning around.
Turn around, find your man.
You're turning around. You're facing the baseline as the opponent bring the ball in and you're playing. And that's Chicago basketball. That's Peoria basketball. As a matter of fact, and I'll say that's inner city Illinois basketball.
You said it. Right.
That's just the way it was. But, T.Y., you go through your career, and I'm going to tell you, I started watching, really paying attention to basketball in that 85, 86 era. So I got to see the end of Bruce, the end of Ephraim, of course, started to watch you, and then that 89 team was me because now I'm at Simeon and everything is starting to roll. So after the game, you go through, you get your 4 years out of the way. You didn't chase the dream, at least not like everyone else. What made you go into coaching? And the reason I'm prefacing that, because I know you have to go, and I know you got practice, and I don't want to interrupt your practice, but I definitely want to get your coach's mindset. You'll take what you do with your kids, and then I want to go into some of what Illinois is doing as they move into the Big Ten and NCAA tournament. So,
okay,
what got you into coaching?
I again, you mentioned I chased the dream for a little bit. That wasn't something that was on my mind. I remember the NBA draft. My senior year happened, and Altenberger got picked, and I ended up having shoulder surgery. And Marty Blake, who was the NBA scout for all of the NBA, called me. And Doug had told him, hey, because they were looking for another guard to come out to Portsmouth, Virginia. And I had just had shoulder surgery the day before, and he called me to come out. If I would have known that he was going to call, who knows if I'd had that shoulder surgery. I'd have went out there, for an invite, and this is where the NBA players and everything was happening. So missed out on that, and kind of said, I'm going to either try it or not. And what ended up happening, because my goal was to get my degree, the team out of the Quad Cities drafted me for the CBA back then, and now it's the G League. But the CBA drafted me, and I had 21 hours to get my degree. And so I remember the coach picked me, told me, wanted you to be at camp, all that. I said, well, Coach, can I still finish school and come play? And he laughed. He said, son, this is a business. And I remember that goal, though. The goal setting has been a big part of my whole life. And the goal was to get the degree. So going after the dream just took a back set as far as me, because Illinois was paying for it. So I went ahead and said, no, I'm going to get the degree. After getting the degree, played in the Gus Mackers, 3-on-3s, doing all that type of stuff. And one of the coaches at Bradley said, son, I know you can play still, but I like how you're doing things, because I was running some of the Gus Macker tournaments, also playing in them, and while I'm playing, I'm coaching the guys that I'm playing with, and he just said, I just like some of the things you're doing. Have you ever thought about coaching? Well, I was at the Boys and Girls Club, coaching them, volunteer position, just enjoyed doing that. And when he gave me that opportunity in 1992, I went up to Bradley, and it was a love affair ever since. I was like, this is what I want to do. If you haven't noticed, I love talking. So with that being said, I can influence young men, not just with basketball, but as I always call it, being a productive citizen. That has been the biggest piece of this puzzle. The basketball is the cake and icing. That productive citizen that can go out into our community and provide and do something for their family, that has been the big piece that I've always enjoyed. Because sometimes that light doesn't come on when they're here. Yep. You do the best you can. But when you get that call 5-6 years later, Coach, I remember you telling me, if we are practicing at 12, then I need to be there at 11:45, because if I get there at 12, I'm already late. So you told me that, and you always said, hey, when you get a job, you'll see what I'm talking about. And that is exactly what I do now, is what one of my young men told me. I make sure I'm 15 minutes regardless. Coach Fred Dixon is one of the ones that taught me that. Coach, we got to get them here 15 minutes before. Now, well, why is that? Well, if you get them here early, then they'll use that for life. And I was like, Coach, you're right. We got to teach them for life. So those life skills are part of the big picture as well.
Well, and that's one of the things I've always loved about you, big bro, is the fact that you don't just pass that on your parents, you pass that on to adults. You did the same thing with me, and I am forever appreciative. But I want to take some of that basketball knowledge and turn it to your alma mater, my alma mater, and how things have been going with Illinois. As you know, when Coach Underwood came in, things were ugly at the beginning. And I always tell people, because I have a lot of, donors and supporters ask me, well, what do you think about the job Brad did? And I tell them one of the hardest things for a coach is to change who you are. Mm-hmm. And then that's also the mark of a great coach, is understanding when you need to change and make change. So you've seen the progression of this Illinois team. What are your thoughts?
The first thing that I, again, old school with me, it's inside out. You if you're trying to beat at the highest level teams with no post play, I just don't think it's going to happen. Not in the Big Ten. Now, you might be able to do it outside of the Big Ten, but in the Big Ten, you got to have somebody that can score inside. And that was something I think we were missing for years. We had post players, but I didn't think we had post players that could finish. And what Underwood was starting to do, as I noticed, he was starting to bring in some guys that could potentially, score in the post. Got to have good guard play, of course. I'm never going to say you don't need that. But you got to have some inside presence. And that's where I think we started to turn that corner. Mm-hmm. With inside presence, now you got that inside-outside game. And he already, one of my good friends, Clint Ford, who played for Underwood at Western Illinois when he was there, he told me back then when he first got the job, he said, T, watch, he going to get this thing turned around because he's going to find somebody that can score in the post. And I said, and Clint was a post player. He said, man, he worked with me, helped me develop my footwork, all of these things. He's going to get a post, and when he gets them, they're going to develop, and you'll see. And I said, all right, Clint, I'm in. I just need to see it. I'm not going to go somewhere else. I'm with Illinois all the way. I just need to see that. He said, I'm just telling you, it'll come. And when you get one, when you get a good post player, you will see that development. And Kofi shows up, Georgie shows up, and I'm sitting there looking. I said, dude, he was right. Because the footwork was there, the post play was there, and now you start having that yin and yang, the inside outside, and right now you got the culmination of someone like Trent Frazier who comes and stays and puts all that work in, and DeMonte that puts all that work in. Quick story, DeMonte, open gyms, he is here in Peoria, making all of these shots. I mean, he's making shots from everywhere. And I'm saying, DeMonte, why don't you shoot in the games? He says, Coach don't want me to shoot. I don't think he liked me. I said, DeMonte, I'm going to help you with something. I said, I'm a coach. And I'm going to say this. If you can make shots, why would he not have you in the game? Son, don't give me that. If you can make shots, go make shots. And every time he's made big shots today, I've texted him, another big shot, son, keep it up. And so those little things that I think Underwood has shown and put that confidence in those guys, has put them over the top, and they are doing, and I love everything. I mean, I'm watching the Michigan game. I know we were all texting during the Michigan game. We were texting during the Ohio State game. We fans, I ain't gonna lie, I love watching Illinois. When they really balling out, I can't wait to say something to anybody who is an Ohio State or Michigan fan. We getting it done right now. Y'all just gotta wait your turn.
Exactly.
You gotta enjoy it. You got Io. I remember his first couple of years, or first year rather, and I was like, oh, he getting to the basket, but doesn't have a jump shot. Okay, he's got a jump shot, but he can't go left. Everything that you say, somehow I know he gets it, and he figures it out. And now you got a kid that I believe is first round, top 11 draft choice, in my opinion.
My opinion is, I share that same opinion with you, brother. But you touched on somebody, and I don't. He gets the love, but I don't think he gets it as he should. You know, kind of as I described to you, Trent Frazier, man. Trent coming, doing what he did. Well, let's say that he's coming, coaching change, doing what he does his freshman year, changing his role completely to what they needed him to do on the defensive end. And now, as you mentioned, you see the culmination, and Trent as well as DeMonte, and you see that personal growth. Can you just touch on how difficult that is? And two, because you did a lot of that same thing. I mean, you played the two in high school, well, kind of a combo position, and then you were thrust after, Bruce and them departure to be a point guard. That's a lot of changing that goes along in there.
A lot of changing, but when you have buy-in and you have some success, the key to all of that is some success, because if there's no success, it's harder for young men to buy into something. But I saw Trent, I think he bought in from the beginning, and he kept to the grindstone. And I can tell you, as a coach, you always preaching about what it's going to be at the end of the rainbow. But there's a lot of hard work to get there. And you got to keep chopping at that wood. You got to keep going and keep pushing. And again, you'll have fun at the end of the process. And sometimes it's fun just going through the process. Some kids don't like that. And you can tell through all of that, with ups and downs that Illinois had during this process, DeMonte and Trent never afraid. Yeah. I'll include in this group that we're talking about Georgie. Yeah. Starter to coming off the bench, but when he's in the game, the most excited person on the floor. Yeah. And that energy and that electricity that he brings, you don't have anybody down. The Ohio State game, even though he was getting scored upon, he still was doing his best. I'm here for you. You can look at him and tell, I'm here for you guys. Come on, let's go. Let's do whatever we can to pull this out. And he was involved even when he went out of the game. And one of the things I love about the bench, they involved the whole time. I tell my guys, y'all need to take a look. It doesn't make a difference if they're in the game or not. That bench is involved. And I enjoy that fact, because my guys have taken that up now. They have taken, you coach, I see what you're talking about. No matter what, we're going to be involved. And I said, okay, that's buy-in. Got to have the buy-in. I think that's important.
You mentioned a couple words that I think epitomize this next kid that I want to ask you about. You said energy and effort. Andre Curbelo has blasted up on the scene. When that kid comes in the game, the whole energy changes. I was on the radio one time, and I called it a little Caribbean spice. He's coming and shaking that stuff all over the place, man, and making the food smell good, look good, taste good. What do you think about it?
When he first would get in the game, as a point guard who really cherished the assist to turnover ratio, that was something I really thought about. Whew, he had my heart going back and forth, because he'd make a play and he'd make two plays that you're like, come on, man, now, who is this kid? They must like him because he's still in the game. Okay, let me calm down. He's got to take care of the ball, and that's what I always would say. But he's got that it factor, and they know it. And a lot of times when we're watching teams and scouting, a guy may take a bad shot. And I always tell our guys, yes, that was a bad shot, but did he come out the game? See, a kid that takes a bad shot that comes out the game, that means he takes bad shots, and he doesn't make them. Mm-hmm. Kid that takes bad shots but stays in the game, that means that coach trusts him, and he knows he's going to make more. So when Cabello would make some mistakes, I would notice at the beginning he would come out, and that's teaching lessons. But as we went on, he would make 3 good plays and maybe 1 mistake, and he would stay in the game. And I said, okay, they like him, and I see a different team when he's in. Granderson as well when he's in the game. But I see a different team, and then all of a sudden it was, okay, Cabello's running everything, and things are running through him until it becomes AO time. Now, that's a whole nother level of things, but it's running through him, and he's not taking extra shots. He's taking what's given to him. Yep. He works the ball to Kofi. I mean, some of the passes, the behind the back, the no looks, Kofi ready. So I know that happens in practice because the good ones, Jason Kidd, back in the day, he would hit I don't know how many people in the face with balls because he's trying to get you the ball in the right spots. And I bet you Cabello's done that a bunch of times. But he'll have his moments. But they trust him now, and they know he's going to do some things, and he may try some things. We were talking, some of the young men on the team, on my team, the turnover he had at Ohio State just before they made their little run to finish the game off. One of the kids said, Coach, I thought the game was over. I said, yeah, but did he come out? And he said, you know what, he didn't. And I said, because they trust him. They're like, okay, that's over and done with. Kids, right, some of the kids, stay in the play. You got to let that play go. I got to stay in the moment now, and I got to either make a defensive stop or make the next play. That is another piece of that 7 to 10 years that I've noticed. Kids don't let things go. They stay with whatever just happened. Yes. Let that play go. Keep it moving. Effort, attitude, and attitude. You got effort, energy, and attitude. Those 3 things, if kids keep moving things that way, they'll always have success.
I got that. I saved the Peoria next edition of its greats for the last one. Now, of course, he took off and went to high school, finished up high school in Chicago. But as Adam Miller will tell you, Ace Wolf will tell you, I'm from Peoria. So there's still a lot of Peoria pride in there. And you mentioned it early. We all know he can score. And in the beginning, first game he steps out, he breaks the freshman scoring record.
Yeah.
All those threes. And then a reality check kind of comes in there. And I think part of that was the coaching, because as you mentioned, he played 0 defense in the beginning, thought it was all scoring.
All scoring.
Now you see the growth and the change in him. What give a little bit about, a little Peoria flavor about Ace Wolf.
Ace is, again, came in with all the flair, came in with all the hype, and then first game, 28 points, this is easy. And then he found out this not easy. Not at this level. Everybody has that same ego. Everybody has that same ability. You got to be able to find your way to separate yourself. And if you don't play defense and rebound, again, you're not going to be able to play on the court. And I think he found that out. And that's why, in my opinion, some of the shooting suffered, because now he's working on something that he never really had to work hard at.
Right.
When you have to take that energy to work hard at something you've never really had to do at this level, it takes away from the natural things you do, which is put the ball in the basket. And once he started to figure out, okay, I got to have the same energy that I want to score at, but I got to do it on the defensive end, and there's a balance, it started to waver up instead of all down, because there was a point where it was like everything's negative when this young man's on the floor. How long can we keep him on the floor? And so that was when they started to say, all right, we're going to have to figure out one one or two, and then here comes Cabello playing a lot better. And so some of the minutes started to go away. You play defense and you rebound, there's minutes out on the floor. And Adam's going to do that. Super athletic, can put the ball in the basket. I think one of the biggest shots he's made was that step back three against Michigan. That's just a confidence builder because AO was out and we needed somebody to make a shot. And Trent, of course, did his thing. But the step back three when it's a 13-point game that Adam hit, that's a confidence builder for him.
Right.
And now, again, can make some mistakes. That line that they have where you make a mistake, okay, you got to come out because I can't keep having you make these mistakes, just got a little longer. And again, for Cabello, all those guys, and they're all on the same page. Yeah, you know how huge that is to be on the same page that we're in this together and we know who our guys are. They know that AO and they know that Kofi are their guys. They know that Trent, if you put him in the right position, is going to hit shots for us. And all the other guys understand we're going to play through Cabello every now and then. When he's out here, this is what we're going to do. So, yeah, I love what they're doing right now as a group. They just need to keep riding that wave right now. Just ride the wave.
So I know you got to get ready to go, and I'm going to let you go here. Not asking for a prediction. I don't need you to say they're going to do this or this, but how do you feel? How do you feel with them going into the Big Ten and NCAA tournament?
Big Ten tournament, I'll be honest. I want them to win it all, but it wouldn't hurt me to see them get to the championship and maybe not have the best game in the world. Still want them to win, but keep working through adversity. That adversity, I think, Gonzaga showed, and Coach Few even said it, this was probably the best thing for us. They've been winning games by 20, 25 points and no struggles. Illinois has been through some of those struggles, and I like the fact that I don't think they've peaked yet, but winning some of the games that they've won gives them that confidence they need. Winning the Big Ten tournament would be great. You want to be going on all cylinders for the NCAA tournament. So again, if they have some struggles, I read, hey, let's have them now. Let's work through that adversity. It wouldn't hurt me to have them have one or two games like the Ohio State game where they got to battle through and trust each other to get it done. Those wins are beautiful. Love them.
I agree 100%. TY, just a little bit about your team, man. How you guys looking this year?
We doing okay. We got 12 freshmen, and COVID is a different monster.
Yeah.
We went all of fall, no games, just practice. Spring, we started in January, again, just practice, no games. We didn't play our first game till January 30th.
Wow.
And with 12 freshmen, that can be what word I'm looking for, an eye opener. For any coach that's been doing it for 20 some years, it is a process. I love the process though. Getting them to where we need them at, trying to figure out, we've started with 3 and 7, I think right now. And we started off our last 4 games, first 7 to 10 minutes down 10 to 12 points, just can't make a shot or whatever it might be. But we just can't get going. So now that's up to me. You can look on the board over here. I'm trying to figure out some other things to get us going. But that's the part of coaching I love. Trying to figure out what you can do to get us in the right spots for success. And I got a bunch of kids that believe in what we're trying to get done, which I appreciate. And now it's up to us to kind of figure it all out because you're not going to have a lot of success if you get in the game and after 10 minutes you're down 12. And that's some of the things that have happened to us early. So working on that, coaching staff is, we talked about it last night. Coming back, we played Kankakee last night. We lost 77-69, and we were down 12, 8 minutes into the game. And, just things not going our way. But that's the bus trip back was all about, okay, we got to figure out what we got to do to get things going early. So we're trying to look at different offensive, different as far as starting lineups, again, brainstorming with everybody, trying to figure out, okay, this is what we may need to do. So you're right. The guys are in there getting ready to start practice. So I will have to run here in a little bit because all the things we talked about, I need to go out there and make sure we're getting them done because we got to get a better start. Got to be a better start.
Well, T.Y., as a matter of fact, we're going to let you close this thing out now. And I'm going to say this, Illini Nation, the University of Illinois, one of the University of Illinois great point guards and players and leaders and coaches and builders of young men, Mr. Tony Wysinger. Coach Tony Wysinger, the mic is yours for the last minute. Tell Illini Nation whatever you would like to say.
One, thank you. I appreciate you having me on today. Two, I dearly appreciate what Coach Henson, what Coach Collins, Coach Nagy, and all the coaching staff as far as giving me and the University of Illinois giving me an opportunity. I remember my dad asking Coach Henson, what are you guys going to do with this 5'10" guard when I see everybody else is 6'9", 6'10", 6 whatever? And Coach Henson said to him, I think he can help us win games. And I remember hearing that. Again, that's that building that ego and building that confidence. So through those guys, I have been blessed, and I appreciate that. And for me, it's always about giving back. For much that has been done for me, I'm trying to give back because I appreciate everything that's been done. So with my family and my son coming up and playing football and basketball and everybody doing the little things, for me, it's being appreciative for everything that was done for me. So Illini Nation, I appreciate that for sure.
All right, Coach T.Y., Tony Wysinger, my big bro. And as always, a consummate teacher. I appreciate you, bro. Go keep building and teaching those young men out there how to become great members of society. And sure. I really appreciate you joining us. So Illini Nation, we are going to close out today's conversation with Illinois great Tony Wysinger. And to my sponsors, thank you to Signature Bank for sponsoring Champaign on Ice. Not possible without people like you. So thank you very much, as well as to Bet River Sportsbook. Thank you very much for supporting Champaign on Ice and allowing me to be able to share the stories of Illinois greats and how they have proceeded to change this world. So thank you very much. And don't forget, go on to Apple Podcasts as well as Spotify Podcasts. Like, subscribe to Champaign on Ice. And last but not least, do not forget my host, the Field of 68 Media Network. They are also on Spotify as well as Apple. Like and subscribe. Great content on there from 68 of the top basketball programs in the country. T.Y., again, brother, appreciate you. Thank you so much for coming on.
My man, appreciate you too. Thanks.